The Hinterkaifeck murders, one of Germany's most chilling and mysterious unsolved crimes, continue to intrigue both amateur sleuths and professionals. The case involves the brutal killings of 6 members of the Gruber family in their isolated farmstead in rural Bavaria in 1922. The grisly nature of the murders, coupled with the strange events leading up to them, has sparked an enduring fascination with the mystery. What makes the Hinterkaifeck case particularly perplexing is the eerie set of circumstances surrounding the murders and the potential suspects, who may never have been identified. Setting the scene, Hinterkaifeck farmstead. Hinterkaifeck was a small farm located about 2 miles outside the village of Gobern in rural Bavaria, Germany. The property was isolated and surrounded by dense forests, adding an eerie atmosphere to the location. The Gruber family, consisting of Andreas Gruber, his wife Chiselia, their daughter Victoria, Victoria's children Chiselia and Joseph, and the family's maid, Maria Baumgartner, lived on the farm. At the time of the murders, the family had lived at Hinterkaifeck for many years, but the farmstead had a reputation for being difficult to manage due to its isolation and the demanding nature of the W.O.C. In the months leading up to the murders, strange occurrences began to unsettle the family. These mysterious events included hearing footsteps in the attic, unexplained noises at night, and even the discovery of footprints leading to the house that appeared to come from the forest, but not from the farm's residents. Despite these unsettling events, no one in the family sought help, and they continued to live on the property, albeit with growing unease. The murderous events that culminated in the murders began on the evening of March 31, 1922. Andreas Gruber, a 63-year-old farmer, had been particularly disturbed by the strange noises and unexplained activities on the farm. He mentioned to his neighbors that he had found footprints in the snow leading from the woods to the farm, but he never saw anyone who could have made them. A neighbor, who had visited the Gruber family on the evening of March 31st, later reported that nothing seemed out of the ordinary, and the family appeared to be in good health. The following day, on April 1, 1922, the horrific events unfolded. Andreas Gruber, his wife Chiselia, their daughter Victoria, her 2 children, and the maid were all found dead in the farmhouse. The victims had been killed with a mattock, a kind of axe that belonged to the family. The bodies were discovered in different rooms of the house, indicating that the killer had methodically moved through the property, murdering each person as they encountered them. The family's maid, Maria Baumgartner, was the first to be attacked. Her body was found in the bedroom, where she had been bludgeoned to death. The bodies of Andreas Gruber, Chiselia, and Victoria were found in different rooms, each of them struck multiple times with the mattock. Victoria's 2 children, aged 7 and 2, were found dead as well, having been bludgeoned with the same weapon. The investigation. Upon discovery of the bodies, the authorities launched an investigation into the murders. However, despite initial efforts, they were unable to make significant progress in solving the case. The murder weapon, the mattock, was found on the property, and there was evidence to suggest that the killer had spent several days at the farm after the murders. The killer seemed to have used the family's supplies, ate their food, and even tended to the animals before eventually disappearing without a trace. One of the most unsettling aspects of the investigation was the apparent lack of any clear motive. The family was known to be relatively poor, but they were not wealthy enough to suggest a robbery gone wrong. No valuables were stolen from the house, and there was no sign of forced entry, which suggested that the killer had some familiarity with the property. Additionally, the strange and unexplained noises that had plagued the Gruber family and the weeks leading up to the murders suggested a level of planning and premeditation on the part of the killer. The police interviewed several people in the community and conducted an extensive investigation, but they were unable to identify any suspects. Several theories were put forward, ranging from the possibility of a family member committing the murders to the idea that a stranger had targeted the Grubers. One of the most persistent theories was that Victoria's former lover, a man named Lorenz Schlittenbauer, may have been involved in the murders. Schlittenbauer had a complicated relationship with Victoria, as he had fathered 2 of her children, but they had been estranged in the months leading up to the killings. However, despite multiple leads and several individuals being questioned, no one was ever arrested or charged with the murders, and the case eventually went cold. The eerie and bizarre circumstances surrounding the murders, along with the lack of concrete evidence, left the case unresolved. Theories and suspects over the years. Many theories and potential suspects have been proposed in an attempt to explain the Hinterkaifeck murders. One of the most persistent theories involves the possibility that the murderer was someone from the Gruber family itself, perhaps one of the children or an estranged relative. The idea that the murders were committed by someone familiar with the family and the property makes sense given the lack of forced entry and the fact that the killer seemed to have been able to move freely within the house after the murders. Another theory is that the murders were committed by an outsider who had some knowledge of the Gruber family and their farm. Some have speculated that the killer may have been a former employee or acquaintance who harbored a grudge against the family. The mysterious footprints in the snow leading to the farm and the strange noises heard by the Grubers in the weeks leading up to the murders could suggest that the killer was someone who had been watching the family for some time before striking. The possibility that Victoria's former lover, Lorenz Schlittenbauer, was involved in the murders has also been a point of discussion. Schlittenbauer had a tumultuous relationship with Victoria, and he had been known to have disagreements with the Gruber family. However, despite these potential motives, Schlittenbauer was never charged with the crime, and there is no concrete evidence to suggest that he was involved. Some investigators have also suggested that the killer may have been a mentally unstable individual who acted out of some form of delusion or obsession with the Gruber family. This theory is supported by the fact that the killer seemed to have spent several days on the property after the murders, suggesting a level of psychological detachment from the brutal nature of the crime. Unanswered questions. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Hinterkaifeck murders is the many unanswered questions that continue to haunt the case. For example, who was responsible for the strange noises and mysterious footprints in the snow? Why did the killer appear to stay on the farm for several days after committing the murders? What was the motive behind the killings? And why were no valuables taken from the house? These questions, along with the lack of conclusive evidence, have kept the case alive in the public consciousness for over a century. The fact that the killer was never caught has led to various conspiracy theories and speculative ideas, including suggestions of a cover-up or a bungled investigation. Some have even speculated that the murders were the result of a ritualistic or supernatural motive, though there is no evidence to support these ideas. The combination of strange events leading up to the murders, the methodical nature of the killings, and the lack of a clear motive has made the Hinterkaifeck case one of the most enduring and perplexing mysteries in criminal history. Legacy of the Hinterkaifeck murders. Despite the case remaining unsolved, the Hinterkaifeck murders have had a lasting impact on German culture and criminology. The case has inspired numerous books, documentaries, and films, and it continues to captivate audiences who are drawn to its unsettling atmosphere and the mystery of its unresolved nature. The farmstead itself has also become a point of fascination, with many curious individuals visiting the site, which is now in ruins. In the years since the murders, The Hinterkaifeck case has come to symbolize the limitations of investigative techniques of the time, as well as the persistent nature of certain types of criminal mysteries. It serves as a reminder that, despite advances in forensic science and technology, some cases remain unsolved, leaving behind an unsettling legacy. Conclusion: the Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of the most notorious and unsolved crimes in German history. The strange and unsettling events leading up to the killings, the brutal nature of the murders themselves, and the eerie aftermath have combined to make the case a captivating mystery. Despite numerous theories and potential suspects, the true identity of the killer remains unknown, and the question of why the murders occurred continues to haunt those who study the case. The Hinterkaifeck murders are a chilling reminder that not all mysteries are meant to be solved, and some questions may never be answered.